Well, here we go again. There's yet another push to ban gun content off of YouTube. Today I'm going to fill you in on what's going on, who's behind this, and some of the interesting reasons, or the interesting reason, that this organization is pushing YouTube to try to ban certain content and channels and really guns off of YouTube altogether. Now, before you just dismiss this and say, they've been talking about this for a while, just remember that this organization has been part of the reason that YouTube has changed their policy in the past. And they continued to do this. And so I'll tell you why I believe they're totally wrong. And of course, I want to hear your opinion too. But what I really want to hear is, what is some of the maybe incredible information that you've learned here on YouTube? What are some of the maybe the life-saving tips that you've been able to take away from certain channel, any channel here on YouTube that has been beneficial to you and your family? And load the comments up with the positive impact that the gun community has made on all of you, because that's one of the core things that they're actually missing here. They just cannot see it. And of course, I will elaborate. Love to hear your opinion, whatever that might be. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So a little known organization called Everytown for Gun Safety is now pushing YouTube once again to ban certain types of content off of YouTube when it comes to the gun community. Now, Everytown is the same organization that has pushed and influenced, at least to an extent, YouTube's decision on certain firearm content in the past. So essentially, age restrictions, recommendations in the algorithm, and now their latest push is to make sure that YouTube removes all those pesky gun channels that are leaving links to things that they shouldn't. Now, for the longest time, YouTube has had this rule where you cannot link to certain places inside of the industry that sell certain things, i.e., what you see behind me. And the vast majority of channels don't do that. But essentially, Everytown went through and they analyzed 78,000 videos that were gun content, I think from 23 to 24. And they found that there are certain channels that are still linking to some of these companies that they deem inappropriate and that YouTube deems inappropriate as well. Now, I'm not going to talk about the channels that they're talking about that are violating, or the places that they're saying people are linking to and all that. We're not doing that here. But one thing I will say when it comes to this article is what they don't realize is that there's a lot of companies in this industry that don't just sell one specific item. For example, you may come across different websites, and I'm being very vague here, okay, so most of you understand why. But you may see certain sites that specialize in one thing, let's just say optics. But then they also carry lines from other manufacturers. The problem is sometimes whenever you link to certain places and items that are not violating YouTube's policy, they could navigate around that website and try to find something that does violate the policy. So what they're saying is, oh, well, maybe they did or did not link to certain items that violate the policy, but if you navigate around the website, for sure you can. Now, here's why this thing is stupid, by the way, and we follow the policy. A lot of gun channels do because we want to stay on the platform. Again, that's going to come up here in a minute. But people can find this stuff, right? It's not like our information or any information that any gun channel gives out there is like secret knowledge. Maybe you get discounts and perks and things like that, but it's not like, we're providing access to the dark web or something. Even those with half a brain cell apparently can still find this stuff on the internet. It's really not that hard. The problem is they don't just focus on the so-called ghost gun or the mods. They want all links banned to any type of Pro 2A items or organizations, banned completely. That's essentially what they really want. Now, here's one Everytown would love to ban, but unfortunately for them, it does not violate TOS, and that is the sponsor of today's video. One of the greatest things about the AR platform is just how modular it is. But one of the coolest things that any company has come out with in years is the ability to take this and go to this. This is the Psy from Reap Industries. And I'm so appreciative of these guys sponsoring today's video because this is one of the coolest new innovations to breathe new life into the AR platform. But one of the best parts about this unit is, first of all, it's not a firearm. So no FFL is required. Now I have a BRN 180 on top of this one, but they actually work with buffered or bufferless uppers. Now the bullpup platform, typically one of the biggest drawbacks to them is gonna be the trigger. The great part about what Reap Industries has done though, is they actually have a trigger bar, and essentially it's adjustable. So you move it right up to your trigger and it's not gonna add a ton of weight. It's barely gonna add any weight to your actually trigger. They say less than a pound. I think it's actually even less than that. The other problem with bullpups, of course, is the weight of the gun. Typically you have a bunch of weight back here, so they're really good if you have to do anything one-handed, but this unit is less than 12 ounces. So they've been able to accomplish two of the biggest drawbacks with the bullpup platform. It uses your same 2 captive pins plus 2 additional pins in the front. You have some screws. You make sure you get those screws in place. Boom, you're good to go. They have a variety of different accessories and stuff. I actually have the sickle stock on this one. It's freaking amazing. They actually have a piece of Picatinny back here in the rear, so you can add pretty much anything you want to this gun. Plus you can accessorize because it's your upper. So however you had the gun set up, all you're doing is taking that same gun and turning it into a much more maneuverable, especially when we're talking about home defense or truck gun type of setup. And they offer replacement parts at no cost to you. As a matter of fact, the entire unit has a lifetime warranty on it. Make sure that you use the discount code HEG10 for 10% off your order. Again, big thanks to those guys for sponsoring today's video and actually giving us a new reason to come back to the AR with one of the most innovative and cool designs that I've seen in years, I would say. Here's the problem for Everytown in this push to remove broader gun content off of YouTube altogether, and that is, studies suggest that YouTube and the gun community that we've built here and other channels have built actually creates a so-called safe space for gun creators and for gun owners. Essentially education, training, and sifting through a lot of the myths that have been involved in guns and, basically stemming from Hollywood for a long time, talking about suppressors, talking about legislation, keeping people in the know about what's going on with their rights. There's a lot of vast knowledge from a lot of different creators here on the platform that have been able to help more people, way more people than what it actually would ever hurt. When you look at certain people that have been radicalized on the internet, they're not going to gun reviews from myself or others. They're not looking for the latest, NFA legislation or what Trump's doing with gun rights or what this organization is trying to ban or the latest bans in Colorado. They're going to radical places to get radical information. But here's the problem. There are some people that are just crazy. There are some people that will just flip. We do not live in a perfect world. And when you take the types of content that are all over YouTube and all over the internet, some could argue that almost everything on this platform could radicalize somebody. They take personal responsibility out of it and try to put it on the vast majority of people out there that are providing entertainment, education, and information to people. And that is part of the issue because they know they can't beat our arguments. They know that if they try and ban certain guns, ban accessories, statewide bans, federal bans, that they lose on this issue all of the time. So they can't beat us with the arguments, they can't beat us with the information, and crime has gone down over the past couple of decades that it doesn't quite jive with their narrative. We know that certain weapons they try to demonize, like the AR, are used in less than 3% of the crime, so it doesn't make any sense why they target this gun unless you get the information and the facts about the AR, we'll just use that as a good example here, and realize that it's always about the lowest hanging fruit. What can we demonize first in order to restrict or ban and then move from there? They're doing the same thing here. They can't force people to not watch us. They can't force people to change our opinions because of the good information that we're actually giving out there. So what do? They try to say, hey, these channels are violating your policy, YouTube, so you should ban them. Now, in this same article, they're kind of fair, actually, to be totally honest with you. They say, hey, if somebody does get banned illegitimately or they get a strike or whatever, they should have a repeal process, so I'll give them that much. But unfortunately, not everybody is educated in this space enough to know what violates the policies or not. Even some people that work at YouTube don't really know what actually violates the gun policies here. So they can't beat us with words, they can't beat the arguments, they can't beat our information. So what do they try to do? Move to ban. They do the same exact thing with guns and certain guns and accessories. Try to get a bunch of people's support behind that. And then, of course, when that doesn't make an impact to crime at all, then they will go down the line and continue to ban. And that's exactly what they're trying to do to channels and the information that we put out now. So while Everytown has millions of supporters and billions in backing from Bloomberg, we have life-saving advice on this platform. We have the ability to give you information that could help protect you and your family. Whether it's the latest and greatest gun review, comparison, or legislation that's coming down in your states, we want to be able to give you that information so that you can use it to defend your rights. Because one thing's for certain, from Everytown to Bloomberg, the GOA and the FPC, this battle for your rights continues every single day, and there's always a push to take it away. There you go. That's just my opinion. Of course, I'd love to hear yours. And again, let me know some of the incredible information that you've been able to take away from this platform, maybe even life-saving information that you've been able to take away. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.